Welcome to Garden Valley Church Podcasts. We are so looking forward to having you join us today.
Welcome to Wow, Look at Us Now podcast. I'm your host, Rochelle Onslager.
And I'm Michael Onslager. Hey.
Oh gosh, it's seriously every time.
There's every time. I hate intros.
Hey.
Hate
It's
intros.
Hey, Albert.
Just like you don't want to like pray it out and you don't that. I hate doing the
Then
intros.
don't let me. You do the intros.
No, I just told you I
enter it.
hate doing the intros.
Yeah, I know. I'll do it, and then you can do that because you do the exits. So
That's fine.
I was just trying to not.
Deal.
I
Compromise.
just want to say, hey, all you cool cats and kittens. Oh,
Ew.
that's good. I want
No,
to do that for the next
That's
one.
probably trademark.
Okay. I really like that saying. It's funny. Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. Okay. This week, we're talking about being intentional. Are you so nervous because you're sweating so much already?
No, it's because it's stinking hot. I'm not nervous.
It's 'cause
I'm
it's
just like
stinking
I'm just
hot.
rethinking how botched that intro was.
Hey.
Uh,
Okay, so we're talking about being intentional. Intentionality.
That intro. You know what wasn't intentional? That intro.
You're just all flying by the seat of your pants. Holding on your pantyhose. Keep it going. Keep it going.
I have shorts on right now.
Keep it going.
No.
Why?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I was saying, like, do all the sayings. Like, keep it going, because I said you're flying by the seat of your pants. Holding on to your pantyhose. And I'm like, keep it going. And you're like, no. I'm like, okay, cool. So, this literally every episode, I'm pretty sure this happens.
Probably.
No, it does. I already listened to a few. So, anyways, back to being intentional. We're so intentional about having jokes in our podcast. Intentionality, being intentional is being done on purpose and deliberate. That's the definition, like the actual definition.
Yeah.
So what do you think that being intentional means to you? Like an example. What is
I think it
intentionality?
means everything. Well, especially more now, like
Everything.
as you get older and as you begin to have the mindset of an adult. I think intentionality is one of the core values or core things that you either do or don't have without even realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
It boils down to even little things like how you load the dishwasher. You do it intentionally so that everything fits right and so that you don't have any problems with it. You know, laundry. If you're intentional about doing laundry and doing it the right way, you're going to make sure that whites are with whites or whatever, however you want it done a specific way. But then there's another part that comes to it, like when you get married, like being intentional with the other person or even dating, relationships, being intentional in all relationships, friendships. Like if you're being intentional on setting time aside for them, especially if you have a busy schedule for family, my days off now, I try to be intentional as much as I can to spend time with our son and to spend time with you or to make sure I get things done around the house or whatever the case may be. It's setting aside time and making sure that we're going to overuse the word intentional.
I know.
But
Because we're just so intentional about the intentionality, you know, intentional.
intentionally intentional.
You
It has
gotta be-
the
you gotta
word
be
has no meaning now.
Intentional? Wait, what'd you-
Intentional.
intentionality?
Yeah, it literally has no
Intentional.
meaning. I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
Shall we treat respectfully?
Anyways, the word to me now has lost all value and meaning because I've said it too many times. But I don't even want to say it anymore. Okay.
You hate that word now?
Yeah,
I don't want to be intentional.
but doing things on purpose.
Intentional. Okay.
But by
Being
doing
done on purpose.
yeah,
It's like what's important to you.
yeah, and you're making it a priority. You know,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
priority.
Yeah, it really is kind of like,
I guess I would say that's what that means to me is priorities. And intentionality is priorities.
ooh, fire. That was so right.
Hey, thanks.
Oh gosh. So what was Hey, it just said you texted me real quick, so I'm really confused. Because did you just text me?
No, I didn't.
Exactly. Oh, here we go. Oh, the videos just came through. Never mind.
Oh.
That just freaks me out a little bit. I'm like, you just got hacked on live TV. Okay. Wow. I'm really embarrassing sometimes. I can't even focus right now. I'm like coming off just straight from work. What was a low point in your life that you realized you weren't intentional about what was important to you? And then what made you realize that you needed to start being intentional? Like this low part that like maybe you knew because you said it was like priorities and being important to you, right? So
I think a low point in my life was when I realized I wasn't being intentional with my own life and my own dreams.
ooh, that's good. That's good.
And then also, obviously, my walk with God. I mean, if you're not intentional with your walk with God, then, you know, whatever you put first is going to flourish, and whatever you put second isn't going to do as much.
I mean, God definitely will chase you, and He pursues you.
Oh, yeah. But that doesn't mean that your relationship is super strong.
But that's what it is. If you're... What a relationship is on both ends. Yeah. You don't have a relationship if it's only one person doing it.
God called us to relationship. And in a relationship, if you're not intentional about your time and who you are and communicating, then it's just the same thing as a marriage. If we don't talk ever and we don't intentionally take the time to carve out time to spend together, and we're going to become distant.
Yeah.
So I mean but I feel like that's an obvious one. Anybody that has ever remotely been around church or has had a relationship with God, like that, is obviously a low point where I was like, okay, I need to be more intentional, and I need to set more time.
You didn't see growth in your relationship, or what? Like,
yeah, and it was just distant, and it was like I knew God was there, and I knew He was chasing after me, but I wasn't chasing. Like, if that makes sense, I wasn't chasing. I wasn't even living life. I was just kind of like, wake up, go to work, pay your bills, maybe do something cool if you can on the weekend. Work on the weekend.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't living. I was just surviving. And I had no really, like, strong relationships other than some friends at work. And aside from that, that was it. But then when I decided to be intentional about what I wanted and what I wanted in life and my goals and dreams, and decided to work towards that, and take the right steps and do it with purpose, then that's when I started seeing change and growth. But it's hard because when you get so low and depressed or in a rut or just kind of you don't know where to start, and it's like it's
overwhelming.
It is, because you're like, I know where I want to be, and here's point B, here's point A. How do I get from there to here, or from here to there?
You mean A and B? But you mean here's?
No, I'm saying my goal is point B. That's my goal. I'm at point A right now. How do I get from
I know, but I think you said
here?
Backwards. I was saying I was making my OCD. I was making my OCD crazy. How do you get from here to where? Keep going.
How do you get from here to there while trying to deal with all the crap of life? Like, there's so much in between. It's like you just have to take a step. It doesn't matter what step you take. You just have to take a step, and then you have to keep taking steps, and then you have to keep taking steps. And all of that takes intention and purpose.
Which people don't even realize, like, when we should have talked about this on, like, the religion versus relationship, but since this is a whole part of this, is the most important thing that people don't realize is God is intentional. Like, He's the very first of it that started it, of being intentional. Yeah. Like, He is... Like, so whenever we just had, how we had, like, church at home the other day, we were, like, sitting there praying, worshiping, you read Psalms, that kind of stuff. But when we were sitting there listening to music and we were off on our own different spots, God showed me this picture of when I was at some of the lowest points of my life, going through my divorce. And I specifically remember, like, literally feeling like I was dead inside, but I just remember, like laying on the floor kind of thing. It was like I literally almost couldn't pick myself up because of, like, the trauma and stuff I was going through. And I felt dead inside because I was so sick, like, physically sick. And from, like, crying and stuff like that, I was literally laying on the floor, and it was God like showed this picture of me when I was laying on the floor, and it was him laying on the floor exactly how he was right next to me looking at me. Like literally saying, I'm intentionally being here. Like I've never left you. I've never forsaken you. Like I've always been there. And like the other time when I ended up doing like something terrible, but I was like really hurt because, you know, hurt people, but I was hurt and did something horrible. And so then I go home and I'm in the shower, and I specifically remember, and this is like another spot that God showed me, like in the same one, it was like me laying on the floor and then me in this other situation of this low point of my life. But I remember just being in the shower and like trying to physically clean myself and like wash myself in the shower because of how dirty I felt inside. Like I literally just was like, feel disgusting. I feel so dirty and dark and blah, blah, blah. And so I remember that one time that I was like hysterically crying in the shower because I was literally so hurt and broken because of like finding also out I was like getting cheated on. It's just stuff like this. Like, but I just remember being in that situation, and it was like one of my points where I knew that I was like broken to the most broken I probably have almost ever been, just in that one spot I specifically remember. And so God brought that specifically back after me laying on the ground and one of the times of me in the shower. And this isn't like weird or anything, but it was like him standing next, like outside of the shower, but his hand is in the shower, like on top of my head though, like not praying for me, but well, kind of like that, like just sitting, like standing there, also crying with me, like he feels for you, and putting his hand on my head while I'm there. And I didn't even realize that he was right there, but like when I look back now, I'm like, he totally was. He so was right there. And that's probably why I felt so like ashamed and broken, is because I knew he was so there, but I didn't even need to do that. I really should have ran to him in that situation, but he just gave me that vision of like me going back into my like lowest points of hurts and stuff that I've been, that he literally was always there. And I just didn't have the eyes to see or feel or whatever. But yeah, so
it's my turn.
Oh, is it?
What are some areas you wished others would be intentional with you, and what areas so I guess that's two questions. So what are some areas you wished others would be more intentional with you?
And more intentional with me. Probably just trying to like listen and trying to understand me. I think like I have a problem if I say anything
and then people
just like come back at you with their opinion, or like they were like already thinking of like responding. Like, you know how in a relationship, if you're like talking, and what most people do is like they're already, when they're talking, you're just thinking of things that you're going to respond back with, instead of like really listening to the full thing and trying to understand you. I think that's a lot of people, and not that it's going to make a difference necessarily. It could definitely, but like trying to actually understand where I'm coming from, or like listening fully and just there to listen instead of give me their opinion or say what they think, or, you know, I don't know, just stuff like that, kind of.
Okay, and what areas do you want to be more intentional? What areas do you want to work on in being intentional?
Probably like stewarding my time well, like setting time aside to do things I really should be doing, or like things that are important to me, because it really ultimately is important to me, but there's also like the daily things that you got to do. So I should be like studying right now, for sure. I should be doing stuff like that. And I feel like I get like, there's things that need to be done like every day. Like, yeah, we have this kind of stuff. We have the daily things, and you already work a full-time job kind of thing. And so then just, you have only a short amount of time, but then you're also wanting to be like, because I'm already like this year, the word of the year, it's so funny. The word of the year for my 2022 word was intentionality, like being intentional in my family time with you and Braxton, like being so intentional about
No.
spending time with you guys and building that relationship, because I know it doesn't last forever, and
Yeah.
I know it goes by quick, and I'm gonna soak it in as long as I could, and especially now, and I think it helped to build our bond better and our relationship and everything, because now that you have like a crazy job and I don't get to see you all the time, back and forth like in different ways, but probably that. And I don't know. I'm trying to think of like, I feel like other than stewarding my time well, because I'm already intentional about like our family.
See, for me, it's like, yeah, this job is crazy. But I feel like I've gotten more intentional about whatever time I do have. And I think it makes it to where when we do spend time together, it's more quality. I wouldn't, because we've always had quality time, but I think the value and the quality on this time is a lot deeper.
Over quantity.
Yeah, over quantity.
Yeah.
So like I'm like super excited to come home. I'm super excited to see you in Braxton. Like before I was still too, but it was like we had every single night we knew at 4:30 we were always most all the time. It was like after 4:30 we're gonna be at home, we're gonna be doing stuff, we're gonna
usually practices and
yeah, but
events.
It's one of those things where I find myself valuing it more and feeling like we've had more quality lately than we have quantity, and I appreciate that more, and it makes it to where it's like, I don't know, it gives a pep in my step, like going to work and then coming home.
It gives a pep in my step.
It does, like
skippity.
Yeah, it's just like one of those things, like stuff at home is going good, like don't have to worry, especially with a job like this. It sucks if you have something going on at home and then now you got to go bring your A game to this job and make sure you're on point with everything while that's sitting in the back of your mind, kind of thing. So I like when there's quality time that's had and I can go to work and I'm like, okay, cool, my family's taken care of. I made sure we spent great time together. Like I took care of the stuff I needed to take care of at home, chores wise, yada yada.
Yeah.
And everything's in a line, and I'm that kind of person already. Like I want my stuff in a line. I want to make sure like everything is, all my ducks are in a row. I don't like things out of place, and I stress about it too much sometimes about certain things. But I think the intentionality of our time as a family since then has been increased, and I've seen the positive effects on it, because it's not always about just quality. Like,
well, no, I mean like what you are saying, but when you mean intentional, that means like the quality time. That means like putting your phone away and like actually doing something together, like not feeling like it's like uninterrupted time. I don't know why that sounded weird, but uninterrupted time with each other, and not even just sitting there always and just like watching a movie. Like, yeah, sometimes it's like that, but doing like actual things. Like how it used to be in like the 90s. Not everyone was on their phones, their iPads, their games. Like, let's spend actual time as a family together. Like, let's go out and do something. Let's go on and,
because there comes a time,
board game, like anything. Like,
there comes a time where you have too much time on your hands as a family, and it's like, okay, I'm not gonna sit here and play Uno for 12 hours straight. Like, I'm just, I'm not that like, there's a time for us to come together and have fun and do stuff. There's a time for us to be separate and have our own time, because I've noticed that if I don't have time to breathe or I don't have my own time, then we could spend all the time in the world together and it's gonna suck. Like, it's not gonna be, because I need to make sure that I'm getting filled up in other ways and vice versa.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that with the time that we do have, being intentional, like, hey, I have this right now, like today, super busy, had stuff to do, but it's like, okay, I made sure that I took time and went and played catch with Braxton, kind of thing, because he was looking forward to it all day. And we didn't play for like hours on end.
Yeah.
But
it
was just under an hour, and we had a blast. Yeah, and we were sweating like crazy. But we had a blast. And it wasn't that long necessarily, but it was still fun, and he appreciated it. And I think it put him in a good mood.
Yeah, and knowing that like he knows that he he comes first, and so because I think there's a lot of people that feel like they're not the first priority.
Yeah.
Or
And I could have very well said, "Oh, I just have too much going on today. I just have, which I did. I did have a lot going on today, and I haven't. I mean, since I woke up, it's been go, 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 go.
Yeah.
And
That's what happens when you only have one day off a week.
well, yeah, right now. But that's the thing is like I could have
never know.
easily said, "Hey, I need to go home and rest," or "I need to whatever," but taking that time to spend it anyways because I talked about it last night, and so you have this kid that has, like, oh, he said maybe like, and he's like super stoked about it. So
Listen.
you have to choose like. No, I'm going to stick to my word as best as I can. Obviously life happens, but in this situation, I have the choice to be intentional with what I'm going to do, or I don't.
Well, going back to like that question of like something about others.
So what are some areas you wished others would be intentional with you?
Yeah, like
Or
friendships.
would have been with you?
Yeah, friendships for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like obviously it goes both ways, and I feel like I put a great effort in the friends that I'm around, or try to stay in touch or whatever it is. Not always, not with everyone, but because that's almost impossible. And I get it, we're busy and our schedule's crazy, so it's really hard to keep friendships intentional, or even like knowing that like, okay, if I'm already gonna go to this place, like I realize with friendships, like if I'm already doing this and I'm like, okay, well, actually I can just invite them along with me as well. Like this is something I already have to do if it's an event or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, you want to come? Or like I feel like, and there's actually a couple
Like this
people.
weekend.
Well, yeah, but there's a couple people that are very intentional with me, and I appreciate that. But that's why our friendship is because we're very intentional about being like, hey, we got to get together. I know our schedule's busy, but like, let's not flake, like let's do it.
Yeah.
And when we do it, it ends up always paying off because everyone just always goes for the go go go, that it's hard to create friendships. And then when everyone wants to know, why are we all so lonely? Well, you're not being intentional in your friendships.
Yeah.
You're not being intentional in your family time, or wherever it is. What can you grow if you're being intentional? I mean, also I feel like it clears your conscience a little bit, not just because that's not even not the intention that I'm going after, but it's like it kind of reveals where your heart's at, I guess.
Yeah.
On what's important to you, and
even if it's just like little stuff, because like
you could even be like intentional, like saying like I'm gonna be intentional sticking to my word, or being consistent or stable or whatever it is.
And it's just I think if you don't have intentionality in your lifestyle, or you're wanting to build, or you're wanting to learn, like it's a process. Like I had to choose to build on it. Like I always talk to people like, oh, we should get together, and they never do. Oh, we should get together, we never do. I've tried to implement things where it's like, okay, if I say that, I want to try, and even if it's just for 30 minutes, figure out a time, carve out time to make a phone call, or stay on the phone a little bit longer, or because I don't have tons of time to play with, you know, our past 2 years of being together between sports and marriage and events and church, and it's just one of those things. Like it has been
things that we're involved in for sure.
Busy. So when I do create time, or am able to carve out time, even if it's a small amount, or even if it's just saying hi to that person, or even if it's just a simple text.
You know what I actually did is when I said being intentional with like family and stuff, that was also like being intentional on slowing down.
Yeah.
When we got married, after, remember, it was like crazy busy for like
first
literally
half of the
instantly.
year.
Yeah. It was since we got married, it was just like insane. And I was literally like feeling myself get burnt out. I'm like, no, I need rest. Like there needs to be a rest season. Like I'm going to be so intentional. And then like, a good 5 months or something like that went by, and we slowed down on things. We weren't going. Braxton was off sports for a short bit, so that was nice. But I was like making sure that I was intentionally about like having rest and slowing down. And I felt my mental health and everything else get so much better because I slowed down and wasn't busy and all the stuff. So it's really
yeah, I'd
It
say
just depends. I feel like everyone needs to have moments of slowing down and, recharging. And then if you need to speed back up, hustle, whatever you want to do.
well, you really
What
just
people
got to
say these
evaluate
days.
where you're at in life.
Yeah.
Evaluate where you're at in life, and then what are you wanting? You know, like there's been multiple seasons where we're like, okay, we need to evaluate. We're too busy and we don't have time for anybody else, and we haven't even had time for ourselves. So what are we going to do? We're going to be intentional, and we're going to start taking steps to us having time off. Like the other day or the other weekend, it was like our first like big weekend together, and didn't have a single plan. Well, we had one, but other than that, and it was for like an hour and a half or whatever. But other than that, we're like, no, we're not making any plans. We're just gonna hang out. We're just because we need this kind of thing.
Well, we also tried
Because
doing that with
there can be a
Sundays,
point
too.
where you're trying to do all this stuff, and then the quality of it when you do spend time with that person, you're so burnt out that they're like, why are we even doing this?
Yeah.
You know. So I'd say figure out what you're needing in life, what you're wanting in life, and then start taking little steps towards that. Even if it's a text, even if it's a phone call, even if it's 10 minutes out of your time for the hobby that you want to do.
Yeah, I was gonna say this could be intentional about going to the gym because that's
Yeah.
hard for sure.
It is.
Like if
Well,
I'm not intentional about it, like I used to have to make myself when I could do the night thing. I can't really too much anymore. I guess I could have those other 2 days, but being intentional about like getting up at literal 5 a.m. to have a 5 to 6 a.m. workout to be back in enough time for you to go to work, like that's being intentional, and it's also
and
it's growing trust it's like building trust within myself, growing myself, knowing that I can do that.
I am gonna say if you're not intentional with your own time, your time with others is gonna be affected then.
Yeah.
Because I feel bad.
I have to spend time.
I
with
feel
myself.
bad coming like when I come home and stuff. I feel bad of like going to the gym when I do have time, because it's like I have the opportunity to spend time with you guys, and I don't want to take an hour. So I'm trying to decide my schedule.
That's why we gain weight.
Well, and I'm trying to decide my schedule. I'm probably just going to come home or just go work out after I get off work, because you guys are heading out the door anyways, and I'm half asleep coming in. That way, because I don't want to take time away from like when I'm about to leave for work and you guys are coming home, because then it's like you have to pick. You really do have to pick. It's like, okay. And that's part of being intentional. Like, where is my time going to be best spent? Okay, it's going to be best spent when they come home and we have time to play some Yahtzee or Uno or whatever and hang out a little bit before I go to work. So then, you know what? I'm going to take the time that after I get off work and be intentional and work out for myself. You know? But you have to decide what fits in your schedule and what's good for you and what you need to do.
Yeah.
And then take that little step.
And there's going to be different seasons too. So maybe this is just for like a season.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, for the rest of your life, this is what you have to do. But like for short parts, being like, okay, this is like where I'm at in this part of my life. This is where I want to be.
Yeah.
There you go. Next part, however long you need. And then I'm going to be intentional about this. Just taking daily, consistent steps. Hard, but
but you can do it.
essential.
You can literally do it just by taking small steps, and over time you'll start seeing the progress.
It's a mindset. That's like everything. It could
A few
be everything.
a
It's
few baby
mindset.
steps a week is a lot farther than you were last week.
Oh.
Vice versa. It may not
Like,
look like
instead
it.
of sitting on the couch, at least walking
Yeah.
to the fridge instead of asking your kid to get it for you. Being intentional.
No, that builds character. That builds character in the children. So just keep doing that.
Oh gosh.
Keep doing that. Kids need to learn how to be servants. Not servants in a bad way, but
Okay, this is about to get
the servant
real
attitude.
bad.
The servant attitude.
Yeah, they should be slaves. Yeah.
No, that's
Slave
not what I'm
labor. Okay.
saying. No, that's not what I'm saying. For any of you those that don't know, Braxton has it super good at the house. He's not a slave.
He cleans his own room. That's about it.
Barely.
He takes out the trash.
Barely. He does not take out the trash.
He cleans his own room for sure.
Oh yeah, he's cleaning his own
And
room.
he does take out the trash. I make him all the time. Yeah, you know it because that one
I've
time you
been
saw
taking
him
out the
taking
trash.
out the trash and you started running behind him. 'Cause
Oh
you
yeah,
thought
yeah. I had to ask him to
you-
take it out. I'm
someone
like,
chasing
please take
him.
this out. Yeah, that was funny.
Oh man, that was so funny.
And be intentional about scaring your children, 'cause that's really
That's my
fun.
favorite thing.
It's the best.
And scaring your spouses.
And be
because
intentional about getting it on video.
So we're like embarrassing and be intentional about like let's just start. You know what we should do is have our very last episode of like all this like BS stuff, like the worst advice, but act like it's like really good advice and like all this
Clip
stuff.
it into one montage.
Let's just do like all this stuff and act like we're being dead serious and have it be like a really bad podcast for our last one.
No,
Agree?
absolutely not.
Okay.
Because some random person's gonna click on it and it's gonna be us. It is, yeah, no, we're not doing that.
I was joking. You know it was.
Somebody who doesn't even believe it is like, here's all this stuff. They're like, oh, wow.
Let's do the opposite of everything we said this entire season.
Take those other 25 episodes, ball it up, and throw it in the trash.
We actually lied
This is
about
what you
everything.
need. Yeah, this is what you
That
need.
story was true. half of it
Gotcha.
wasn't.
Yeah, you followed us all this time just for us to pull the rug out from underneath you.
Okay, we're gonna like keep going on. We
Okay.
could just end this.
No, let's
Oh,
cut it.
What do you mean? Let's cut it.
We're
gonna pray it out.
Yeah, pray it out.
We're gonna pray it out about being
Intentionality.
intentionality about people getting a pep in their step. I guess. What?
Okay. Bow your head, close your eyes.
Don't roll your eyes at me.
It's quiet time. You gotta bow your head, close your eyes.
You're gonna get yourself in trouble. Don't touch my face. We've talked about that. Oh, it's just shh. Shh. Okay, go.
God, we thank you for being intentional with us. And all the times that we weren't intentional with you, we are sorry. And we just ask that you show us how to be intentional the way that you are. Help provide the right tools and the proper attitude in our daily lives and things that we need to be intentional in. Lord, show us the things that you want to see improvement on and intentionality being brought to the table. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much for joining us today. If you're interested in checking out more of our podcasts as they come available, please download our app in your device's app store or check us out on your podcast platform at Garden Valley Church. We look forward to seeing you next time.